people versus people who are not in survival. And immediately I thought about the nervous system, but more importantly, I thought about competition, right? Competition amongst women. But I thought about competition in life, right? Competition in life is required. It's a part of life. But we women, we have not learned how to compete with each other, right? Our version of competition is, I'm going to try and destroy you, right? And if I see you get to a certain level in life and it becomes a mirror, hey Veronica, what's up? I was inspired to go live, so I'm just like, let's just run it. But basically, I'm talking about, hey, I'm talking about, I saw a vid on here about somatic based healing, nervous system healing in women. Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. And honestly, that's why I wanted to talk about competition, right? Because competition, it does not go out the window. What I have learned is that there are levels to competition. There's like low level, right? Ain't nothing cute about fire. Exactly, nothing cute about it. Absolutely. It's extremely stressful. You will lose everything in that state when you are constantly in that state, right? And you can injure yourself. Like I talked about, I remember talking about that in one of my videos about your nervous system taking the impact when you've consumed too much of like content or anything versus when your body takes the impact. So you're not integrating the information long enough to actually execute intentionally without hurting yourself, right? I think I don't know, I'll probably expand on that more, but I was thinking about competition on different levels, right? Competition at the lowest level is inspired by scarcity, and it is typically kept up by people who are in survival mode versus people who are beyond survival mode, right? They've gotten themselves out, they've rewired their nervous system, and so they no longer need to bring practices that they had to adopt, right? While they were kind of in the trenches, they learn how to kind of leave that where it came from when they ascend beyond that stage. I think about competition at the lowest levels. People who compete at low levels, oddly enough, they're competing to stay at the bottom, right? And so what that means is that if you're in survival mode and people who are not in survival mode, or they're in a more ascended place, maybe they're financially like up there, whatever, if it does not inspire you to lock in and be like, damn, she's doing that, let me get to it, let me get on my shit, right? That is to me a form of competition, but the way women, because of how competition is treated amongst women, right, in this very negative way, even though competition is actually very valuable in the world, right? It pushes innovation, it pushes efficiency, it pushes speed, right? But this is not how we look at it. We look at competition as, oh, you're trying to destroy me. And this is because of the practice amongst women. Because a lot of women are in survival mode, or they're in scarcity. Oh, somebody's going to take my spot, or somebody's going to take that first before I get it, right? It's the need to be the first. And it's just kind of like, there's so many people on this planet, you're not going to be the first. Like, you might be amazing, you might be one of the best, but the first, right? And so being, I think, obsessed with being the first to get to the finish line, and if you don't, then that means that you're less. It's insane. But more importantly, I think something that I see is like, competition does not inspire growth amongst women. If anything, it inspires women, because that's what competition is for, right? When you go into competitive environments, competitive work environments, competitive careers, right? Let's say marketing, whatever. This is supposed to inspire new innovative ideas, right? It's supposed to inspire speed. It's supposed to, this is competition to me is very related to inspiration. It is not supposed to inspire you. Let me destroy this person. What the hell? Right? To me, that's competition at its lowest level, right? And that is competition coming from scarcity and therefore in survival mode, right? Self-mastery, ascension, all of these things do not require perfect conditions, right? And so you don't need to start when everything is, grand, or you have this much money. That's why money is not an indication, I want to say, of success or a lack of poverty mindset, right? Like, when we saw the video, I don't know if you all saw it, but it was a video and everyone was going insane. All the women, a lot of women were going insane about a woman paying $10,000 cash to a dating coach. Everyone lost their mind. Everyone lost their shit, right? They were absolutely coming for this girl. They were like, $10,000 on a dating coach, and he's a man. For some reason that, what... and this became a recycled topic, right? Women were like, she could have bought makeup, she could have paid her rent. Just wild shit. I'm like, why would you do that with 10? Anyways, but it was kind of wild. But I I think you saw my video, Veronica. And it was, in regards to the fact that, like, what is the difference between a brokey and a person who's not a brokey, right? The difference between the two is determined by where, or rather what, they assign their funds to, right? And so what this means is that it doesn't matter how much money you have. What determines where you will go is the mindset. I could give you $1 million, right? But if you are wired for survival mode and you don't really know, you don't desire anything past the level that you're at, right? You will stay down there. I don't care how much money I give you, right? And so what you're seeing, right? It's a very interesting, really nuanced topic. I kind of love it, honestly. I mean, I could do a whole research paper. Yeah, I'm like, when I think about poverty, right? It's a very touchy subject. It's a very sensitive subject, right? Because, people are like, oh, we didn't choose this, we didn't choose. Like, I get it, right? Some of our parents, I get it. But I also understand that if you do not do the work to expand this beyond what is current, you will stay at the bottom, right? And so what you're kind of seeing when it comes to poverty is it's not enough to give financial awareness, right?